This is a report realized by PricewaterhouseCoopers based on a survey done recently. And first of all, maybe there are persons who doesn't know what is PwC. So PricewaterhouseCoopers established the price of the water around Europe. No, that's not true. Okay, so PricewaterhouseCoopers is a network of companies providing professional services. First of all, being at DefCamp, I want to tell you about the PwC information security, which you can see there are more than 3,000 people around the world, around 100, 2,000 in Europe. And there are also people in Romania who are dealing with cybersecurity, including myself. And we are doing a lot of projects in this field, mostly assurance, but also doing implementation projects. So we are implementing security technology. Okay, this survey was conducted this year and before holidays, and it's the 19th year that Price is doing this survey together with two prestigious magazines, the CIO magazine and the CSO like Chief Security Officer. And the survey is a hard one. So if you want to fill this survey, it takes you at least 1 hour, if not more. There are complex questions covering all the fields of information security, basically. You can see the published reports at the link. And Price published recently only the first part of the findings from the survey, and we will go about this in this presentation. And I invite you right now, those who are working in the different businesses, to participate in our next survey, if possible. You can send us an email or give us a business card, or you can read those magazines and you will find out when the next survey will start. Okay, so there were 10,000 respondents around the world, and that means that it took at least 10,000 hours to fill in these surveys. You know basically that if you are doing something for 10,000 hours, you mostly are an expert in that field. So together, all this experience collected now gave us an expert opinion about what is going on in the cybersecurity field. Unfortunately, from Romania, there were only 6 respondents, and we like to improve this figure at least 10-fold for the next year. So please contribute. And what kind of people participated in this survey? You can see all the executive levels, starting from financial officers down to the simple IT security staff. So you will be in a good company if you participate in this survey. Now, the 4 trends which were identified in this survey are the following. So digital businesses are adopting new technologies and approaches to cybersecurity. This is in the first part of the report already published. The other 3 parts will be published in the next issues of the report in the following months. So what is a digital business? So basically today all businesses are or will become soon digital businesses. You heard about car manufacturers who are sending over-the-air updates to their cars, for example, giving new options, including autopilot for their cars, maybe for free or for additional price. So basically every business will turn or are already digital businesses. The other findings, I will not go in detail now. You can see that covers the usual threat intelligence and IoT and even geopolitical threats. What is the intended audience of this report? So you had seen who participated. So of course, business managers, IT managers, security managers, but I studied this report and I consider that even the specialists here, the security researchers, white hat hackers, and everybody in this industry should read these reports because it gives you some ideas about what to do next in the next years. And I will show you some ideas about deriving from this report. So I put on the list even freelancers, students, bug bounty hunters. It's a good job today, so you have no problems about this. So one of the most important findings of the report, the first part, was that the approach which was used a few years ago, not so long ago, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, doesn't work, doesn't seem to work today. So you can't go, or you can try, but you will not succeed to go in a company and say, if you don't buy this new shiny technology or you don't implement an information security program, now you will be hacked. This doesn't work because the media is full with all kinds of stories. So people is saturated and doesn't work anymore. So why are ABC software developing company working with external partners would implement an information security program? Not because somebody come and tell them, take care, if you don't, you will be hacked. No, simply they took this decision or take this decision because they want to facilitate business growth, create market advantages, and build brand trust. So remember, especially, or even pen testers, that fear, uncertainty, doubt doesn't work. So in your reports, it's not enough today to list the vulnerabilities you found. You have to put them in the business context and leave your client with some advantage, at least the possibility, give them the possibility to move forward with cybersecurity. Okay. Another finding was that business functions now are running in the cloud. So I don't mean IT and operations, which is obvious, but also customer service, marketing and sales, finance, and more services functions are moved already in the cloud. You know, you remember some of them, some of you, that in Africa and other underdeveloped countries, they jumped over several technologies and moved directly to mobile phones or other technologies. So today, startups, small and even bigger companies, if they are starting now and starting already in the cloud, can jump several hoops and avoid creating legacy IT security infrastructures. They can do it in the cloud. And if they run also the business functions in the cloud, they can have synergies. For example, they can track all the actions of their clients, internal, external, partners, no, doesn't matter. So track their activities and derive from this some business informations and improve their services. And besides this, if you already track everybody, you have also security functions. So you can have behavior analytics from this. So it's easy because everything's in the cloud. There is a single entry point, or at least limited, and it's easier to do the business and the security together. So security is kind of add-on. You tick another box and you have security also, besides the business advantages. Okay, now see some perspectives about this cloud thing. So for business managers, one of the major drivers is that doesn't need CapEx. So capital investment, you pay only what are you using, and it's flexible. For IT managers, operations, scalability, maybe avoiding shadow IT and other interesting. And of course, the service level agreements are very important. For the security manager, I put first the contract because you are giving basically your data to another company, the cloud service provider. So you have to have very well-written contracts on all aspects. And of course, compliance, encryption. CASB is the Cloud Access Security Broker, which is a kind of Kerberos or a watchdog who take care of who's accessing the data in the cloud. And if you compromise this CASB, you have basically the keys of the kingdom. So take care for this new technology, which is not very old. So CASB, there are several vendors who are doing now CASB. And it's an interesting field from security researchers and also for the security professionals working in the companies. So security researchers can learn about cloud, use it, test, can use them as targets, can work for cloud service providers, and they can have some cloud security certifications available from many companies now, many organizations. And there are a lot of frameworks, even ISO and CSA, which is the Cloud Security Alliance, and from other organizations, including the payment security, payment cards industry, and SSA and other kind of audits. Even Price is doing this kind of audit. So if you ever need something like this, you can rely on us. At the bottom line, there is a link or a title of a document from Amazon Web Service. I recommend this to read it, everybody. Business managers, ethical hackers, everybody should read this risk and compliance issued recently, because you will see what is the status of what security level is offering now Amazon, for example. Sometimes you begin to think that maybe the security assured by a cloud service provider is better than what you can do in a legacy mixed infrastructure from an old company, where you have all kinds of technologies which are hard to secure, and not mentioning IoT or other stuff. Also, there is an interesting questionnaire that CAIQ from CSA, which contains 140 questions which auditors or future customers should ask from a cloud security provider. And these questionnaires, the CAIQ, for example, for Amazon, is already filled in and is published. So you can see what is their status, and possibly other vendors have this. So CAIQ is very good starting point for businesses also, and auditors and security researchers to see what are they doing in this field. Okay, so what kind of security services are delivered now in the cloud? The first three are related to protect, mostly, and the last two are for the detection part. Today, managed security service providers are providing all these categories, so they are blending these services to assure a high-level security for their clients. So managed security service providers are not necessarily the same as the cloud security providers, cloud service providers. Sometimes they are the same company, sometimes they are different. So if they are the same company, you have many benefits and synergies. If they are different, you can work with two. There is also a slide here about how to manage security from the outside in. So you basically outsourced your security, most of it, to an external company. Let's call it a managed security service provider, MSSP. And you are using it basically, so it should be used for the tedious boring security jobs, tasks, and you will keep your internal security staff, not give them a pink slip or something. You can keep them and use them for interesting stuff. So we want to free up in-house cybersecurity team to focus on responding the recent threats and the alignment with the business requirements, not to do log analysis or incident detection and things like this. There is also an issue with the resource-constrained organization, which have to usually implement a cybersecurity program also. Cybersecurity program is, first of all, has the characteristics of have to be continuously improved. So improvement needs brain work. So if you implement a cybersecurity program, you have to improve it. You have to keep it aligned with the business requirements, with the recent threats. And this is where you should use your internal resources. Everything else, log collection, SIEM, DLP, other security functions could be done even better from a managed security service provider. There is also a report here. There was an annual research report from ECG. I recommend this to read everybody who is in this industry, because you can see what is the status of the careers in this professional, an IT and security professional. And it's also a very recent report. So you should read it even if you are a security manager or an independent security researcher or working for a company organization as security specialist. I didn't mention why is that picture in the background. So maybe you recognize that it's a Inorog, something legendary. So a good, well implemented and maintained cybersecurity program only with internal resources for a resource limited company, it's something like this. So you will never see it in reality. So this is why managed security service providers can help you a lot in this area. Okay, now see what are different categories of security professionals and business persons think about managed security services. For business managers, of course, it's about cost reduction and outsourcing. For IT managers, usually operations, service level agreements. For security managers, could be additional staffing, external staffing, could be assurance for all 24/7, all year long, which you cannot do always with internal staff, or it costs you a lot. And also can be used for user behavior analytics and other interesting things. For you security researchers, these managed security service providers can offer jobs. You can learn about them. And when you are targeting a company who is using a managed security service provider, you can learn how to avoid to be detected and caught. You can also have different certifications from SANS, for example. And there are a lot of frameworks related to this managed security service field, starting with CMMI and SOMM from HP, which are showing the maturity level of the MSSP, for example. If you want to use a managed security service provider, in their description, you should look for terms like gold certified partner and premier partner and stuff like this. If you are trusting them your logs or security events, you can deal with the following alphabet soup like SIEM and Ceph and other stuff like this, which you can search them on Google. And there is a very good document from OVUM, which helps you to decide what kind of ideas, criteria, or requirements should be asked from a managed security service provider. This is also a very recent document. I warmly recommended it for all categories of security professionals, business managers, and researchers, and everybody. because it's very new and it's very full, very, very interesting. In the background, you see a picture of two hands, it's a kind of marriage. So attention, if you do business and you sign a contract with a managed security service provider, it's kind of marriage. So you should think twice or even many more times if you go into this direction. Not everything is easy and nice. Depends on the contract. Okay, now we reached this IoT stuff, which is not covered in the published report in this first part. IoT, it's kind of, nobody knows exactly what to say in the future, so this is the figure I came up. Somewhere into 20 and 40 billion IoT devices are estimated for 2020. I put in brackets unsecure. We don't know yet, so maybe they will be secure, maybe not. And I present here the evolution of how a product, normal product, in time became a smarter product, then it became a smarter connected product, and finally became a product integrated system. When you say product, you can think about a car or a home, any medical device or smart meters. So basically, today's smart cars are automobile integrated systems who had an automobile management system, and they have interfaces. So if you are a security researcher and want to find vulnerabilities, you have a large field to look for. You can look for interfaces for travel, shopping, maintenance, everything in case of the car. And for a smart home, again, you have a large exposure area because the new integrated home will be connected to a lot of services. And if those services are also vulnerable, the new smart home will be also vulnerable. These ideas are not my own. There is a security researcher, Demetrios Lazarikos, who had a ISACA webcast recently. Unfortunately, it's not available now. It's somewhere in the ISACA's archives. But it's very interesting, and if you can get it somehow, I highly recommended it, because it describes not just the fact that the IoTs are unsecure by design mostly, but they have to connect to the legacy existing IT infrastructures. So if a classic company is going in the IoT field, they have those old data centers and everything, and they have to connect these old technology with this new shiny Internet of Things. So besides securing the Internet of Things devices, they have issues because they are opening the old legacy infrastructure to this kind of new technology, a lot of new attack vectors. So the problem is more complicated than simple vulnerabilities in the IoT devices. They can be vectors to attack the classic infrastructure of that company who has his own infrastructure running other business functions. So if a company is going in this IoT services and products, should take very much care how to shield or put a IoT firewall somewhere in between the legacy area and the new area. So this is all presented in this presentation by Demetrios Lazarikos. And now let's put IoT security again in perspective. So what want the business managers? Of course, they want money, so new revenue streams. They want to deliver additional services. Sometimes they do it even free. And they use also the data collected from the IoT devices as marketing tools, which is nothing new. So we saw Google and other companies doing this for years. Of course, the IT managers have this problem, how to integrate the operations, the legacy infrastructure with the new IoT. And recently, there was shown that the security managers have issues because the DDoS attacks, and in some articles they are already talking about this botnet of things. They can have serious compliance issues. Think about a medical facility in US, for example, who have to be compliant with the HIPAA requirements, and they are installing new medical devices which are this IoT kind and have all kind of vulnerabilities. So you have to think about this called IoT firewall, which is not necessarily a hardware device, can be a complex of measures and hardware and processes and people training. So when I'm saying IoT firewall, I mean this whole package. Usually you are not deploying hardware. You have to deal with the processes, the people, and hardware. For security researchers, this IoT thing is kind of low-hanging fruit. So you know that they were pushed on the market without security. We saw presentations about the webcam and smart glass, and everything was hackable, and so you don't have to do much research to hack this stuff. But of course, you can found these hard-coded passwords, you can inform the vendors, and maybe they were doing something, not necessarily. And you can do some certifications in the industrial IoT area. This is the SANS certification for this area. And talking about frameworks, this whole IoT thing has a theoretical background called the cyber physical systems. And you can find a lot of information on the internet about this to understand how they work, how they are integrated in the current industrial environment. You have this system on a chip and trust zone and all kind of information. There is an industrial internet consortium who published reference architecture and IT security framework, and even Cloud Security Alliance has an IoT working group. And that link, it's a nice list of all kind of standards and protocols used in this IoT area. Highly recommend to access this link and see all kind of, from Zigbee to the latest shiny new technologies. And it's for researchers, it's a very good place to start if you want to go in this area. Okay, so we saw, not just in this presentation, but in the last 2 days, that every business mostly will go digital and will be exposed to all kind of old and new threats. Many companies will move or are moving their IT and even security functions in the cloud. And I think personally that this cloud security provider and managed security service provider roles will be merging in the future, or are going already. And we can just hope that Internet of Things will avoid or maybe will repeat the same design errors of Internet. You know probably that Internet born already with design faults, so it's like now from the 80s, so, and doesn't happen much in the, we just try to patch it somehow, but fundamentally it's the same thing. And one thing is sure, that companies will want to gain money from this IoT, like usual, and this is a driver for you security researchers, for bug hunters, of course. If you want to take away something from this presentation, is that you have a lot of opportunities to learn. Just reading this simple report from Price, which is simple, but I told you that contains the work of 10,000 people. And this is why I told you to participate in this survey next editions, because you can respond to those questions, and when the report is published, you can say, how is my status? I'm a security manager in a company, and I can check the report, and I see what answers I gave, and now I have a baseline. Where is my security? Which is the most tricky question. What is I invested maybe hundreds of thousands or millions of whatever, euros or dollars, but I'm still not secure. What are doing the others? What is also, you should take away that don't use these fear, uncertainty, and doubts. And you should write quality reports. A quality report, even in pen testing, means that the client have a better security than before you did the exercise. He can build on that report and implement something which will help him. And also you saw that there are these CASB and user behavior analytics and IoT firewall stuff, which are very good field for security researchers. And I highly recommend to go in these areas. Okay, so before you have questions, I remember you to, and please participate in our next survey. If you want to participate, you can give us an email, or you can read the CIO or CSO magazines.